Hello and welcome back to the Talking Wolves podcast. My name is Matthew Cooper and today we're joined by none other than Tom Rouse from the Old Gold and Black. Tom, how are you doing?
Hello, yeah, very good. Thank you, Matt. Nice to be back.
It is. And we're also joined by Finn. Finn, how are you, son?
Yeah, all right, thank you. Not much has changed since last time. 0 wins, still in the same position in life. So yeah, we go again. Nice to be back.
Well, hopefully today, boys, we can find some solutions within ourselves, and we can kind of segment what's happened in the last few games. We're going to look at the last 3 games, which are Liverpool, Villa, Man City. We're also going to be looking at the rest of the season, what we play in terms of personnel, formation, and then of course your question. So starting with the City game, Tom. Do we have
to?
It was, we're going to have to start there. It was Manchester City 4, Wolves 1. It seems like an age ago now, but Tom, your thoughts on that? I was particularly frustrated with we were in the game at one point and it just all collapsed. But how did you see it?
The first half was, I think, the worst first half I've seen ever from any team. I can't believe, if I was a City fan, I'd be really, really frustrated that they didn't put 3 or 4 past us. From memory, I think we actually managed to control them relatively well. I don't remember them having too many clear-cut chances, but they had. Did they have a penalty shout and then the own goal from Dendoncker as well in the first half? It was just so
offside,
tedious
wasn't it?
and yeah,
The poor goal was offside, wasn't it as well?
That's right. Yeah. And but we just far too respectful, far too deep, and just had no pace to our play at all, no intent in what we were doing. It looked as if we'd gone to set up and draw 0-0. And, I couldn't see us scoring at all in that game. But thankfully, I mean, who would have bet Conor Cody to score any time in any game? You'd have won a small fortune on that day. But again, I think that was the only chance that we had. So it was quite good that we took it. From memory, I don't think we really got ran behind them or challenged them too much. So it was just the same old kind of pattern of play that had happened in the previous weeks to that, but against a really top quality team who then punished us in the last third of the game or last 10 minutes of the game. As you said, it was relatively tight up until that point. But then when Otasowie came on and shot us in the face with an awful performance. I can't remember anybody who's performed so badly in such a short period of time and made the scoreline look like it should have looked. I think we were being flattered up until that point, but we got what we deserved, I think, ultimately in that game.
Yeah, Finn, looking at the possession stats now, 73% in the favour of Manchester City, 22 shots to 6. However, we did have 2 less offsides than City, so every cloud. I remember speaking to you after the game, Finn, and you couldn't work out whether you thought 4-1 was a fair scoreline.
Yeah, it was all 3 of the games that we're going to talk about, really. I can't really make sense. That maybe the Villa one's a little bit easier because there's nothing to make sense of. But yeah, for the Man City one, there was a period when we got the goal. I remember a specific moment, similar in the Man City and the Liverpool games, where we were like 4-on-5 or something like that, 3-on-2. I think Moutinho had the ball, and it was like like in split moments, and moments is a lovely Nuno word. He's getting in my head already, but there's little moments like that where you could say we made better chances in that 5 minutes than Man City did in the whole of maybe a 45-minute period. So if that goes in, you're going, oh my God, what a game plan. We've absolutely shithoused it and all that. But then again, for 85 minutes, it was painful to watch. Like it's all well and good, as you say, like having a tactical setup and how you think the game's going to go. But you can't excuse like not being able to pass 10 yards. Like there was so much of that. I think particularly Hoover had a few that you were like, oh dear. And as you say, Otasowie's, it wasn't great either. But it's illegal to shoot over there, Tom. Maybe not in the face, but...
One of the frustrations as well, and I think it's going to be a common theme throughout the next 3 fixtures that we talk about, is just that lack of cutting edge and ruthlessness. Tom, we had after we scored, we were on top for 10 minutes, and there was a number of chances, and I think a couple fell to Adama, which he's doing bits for your agenda. But that's been the season. That's been the story all season, hasn't it, Tom? Just that lack of cutting edge in front of goal.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll come to it eventually, but it was ultimately the price that we paid last night as well. We had some opportunities, but just, I don't know what it is, but it's like the players are missing a beat like in the last couple of seasons, they've just known when and where to pass exactly when it comes to them. They know where the other players are going to be. And whether that's because this season they haven't played the same 11 for so many games in a row, they are sort of getting there now, and maybe we'll see some progress in that respect in the rest of the season. But the first 2 seasons, particularly the first season in the Premier League, when it was the same team for the first 10 games or whatever it was, they knew exactly where Helder Costa would be, or Cavaliero, or whoever was playing those games. They would know where to make the runs. And the fact that, in the key positions, we've had so many different combinations. It's the wing backs and the wing forwards who, between them, they haven't been consistent. The striker hasn't been consistent. The midfielder hasn't been consistent either. So I think that's ultimately the problem, is that they haven't got the rhythm yet as a team, and it's something that takes a lot of time. But I'm quite hopeful that these sort of patterns and combinations will come together over a proper pre-season that they'll have this year. I think somebody pointed out that pre-season for us this year was 11 days. The gap between the Villa game and the Man City game was 9 days. So, it was, there's some prospect for it to improve for the rest of the season, hopefully. I mean, they've got international break as well, which I know lots of them will go away, so it won't be a chance to improve. But in the summer, maybe.
Do you think that's a fair point, Finn? Do you think that, given we had a proper pre-season, and I get that it's the same for all clubs, that the players, new players coming in, may have gelled a bit better? I know, really, the only inclusion from the transfer window, players who have come straight into their first team, is Semedo. Obviously, Nori and Marcel have had a few runs in, but Semedo's probably been the only real mainstay, hasn't he, since the summer window? But do you think that's a fair point, given a better pre-season, a longer pre-season, we might be playing a bit better?
Yeah, and I think initially you saw, I think it was us, United, Chelsea, that all had that particularly short period because of Europe, and they've obviously ironed it out a lot better than we have. But yeah, as they say, I remember like that first pre-season, Nuno came in and they said the amount they were doing on 5 at the back. And I remember being at that Shrewsbury game where we got beaten, and it was like, no, we keep doing what we're doing. And it was like drilling it in for months, and then to do it in 11 days. And ironically, Semedo's probably looked better in a 5 than a 4 whenever we played it, despite him playing a 4 for like the last however many years at Barcelona. But yeah, I think there is an element of that. And it's just the relationships, as you say, like the sort of Doherty-Adama relationship had gone, the Jota-Jimenez, the Jota-Adama, all those sorts of ones, they take time to build up unless they're like freaks. Like I remember Jota and Jimenez clicked instantly, really, and then sort of Jimenez-Catrone never really worked. I remember specifically City away, Everton away. So maybe they come naturally, but they also need time as well. And I can't think of a fruitful relationship on that pitch at the moment that you really think, they know each other.
You don't, for me, looking at it now, you don't see the kind of chemistry on the pitch that we did like a couple of years ago, even last season, like between individuals. And you can always tell when players have got a bit of a relationship. At the minute, it just seems that they don't seem as that much of connection. Do you think it might be the characters around the place? But go on, Tom.
I think it's down to the pandemic. I think we've seen over the last couple of years that how much they socialise. They all go to that. Well, it's closed now, but that one cafe in town where Portuguese cafe, or Helder's Costa.
This is why he gets a big appearance for material like that.
But yeah, they haven't had the chance. I mean, the stories. I mean, I actually went to a dinner in the Mount Hotel back in September when it was legal to do so, and Vitinha and Fabio Silva just walked past at one point, and we thought, so this is where they're living. And bear in mind, they signed at the beginning of August, so they'd lived in that hotel for 2 months at that point. Albeit they weren't playing, but perhaps that is the reason why Vitinha is not playing. He's just not settled. He's not, I don't know, but I'm speculating. But in terms of building relationships, you look at all the parties they used to have, the Halloween parties they had last year and stuff. They all like coming together, and it's not just the Portuguese players. Even Catrone was at those parties, and he didn't get on with anybody on the field. But they do try to include all of them. And there's only so much Zoom that one can take. We've all sort of discovered over this last 12 months. So I think that it will get better once things do normalise and they are able to go out and to socialise and to play FIFA together or whatever it might be that they enjoy doing. And hopefully those key relationships will start to blossom next year.
Yeah, and just to round up the City game, Finn, I'll ask you first. 4-1, were you disappointed with the result? or were you just happy to accept that it was with Manchester City are just a very good side?
Yeah, I was just disappointed in that both games against Man City this season, they look a lot worse than they were because of the collapse late on. It's just frustrating. I mean, at this point, we're not really fighting for places, so goal difference isn't going to matter. And I'm just sort of indifferent about it. But it's just frustrating that to the person that hasn't watched the game, they're going, oh, Wolves have been battered there. And looking at the other stats, we kind of did. But it doesn't quite tell the whole story, especially that home game. And just disappointed in general with the two performances. Maybe in general against the top six, the points there. There hasn't been many. Arsenal, Chelsea, we just haven't put up as much of a fight or been as close. I mean, we didn't get battered ever. 4-1 was a very rare scoreline in the first 2 years in the Premier League, wasn't it? And we've been beat 4-0, 4-1, 4-0 against West Ham as well. It's weird.
Yeah. What about you, Tom? Were you just happy to? Were you happy to accept that it was just a very good City side, or were you coming away?
I think we gave them far too much respect and gave them, we play, like I said to you last time, I think it was on the podcast, saying about playing the situation, not playing the situation. We played just our game regardless. And we should have actually had more of a go at City. And I think had we have lost 4-1, conceding 4 goals, going for it and trying to outscore them, it would have been foolish, but we would have been far more entertained. We're all sitting bored in the house. But I don't think it would have been any worse had we have gone for it. I think we would have still got battered like we did, but we would have had a fairly nice evening and a bit of hope, perhaps.
Well, just looking at the expected goals, whether you like this metric or not,
I do actually.
I don't think it. For me, it's just a kind of a barometer of how threatening or how offensive a team has played, or how many good chances they've had. So looking at half-time, Man City 0.83, bearing in mind penalties 0.77, 0.79, something like that. So 0.83, Wolves 0.00. So literally no chances, not even like a speculative shot from effort, which is probably about 0.1. Absolutely nothing. Moving to full time.
Didn't get in there half, did we? Because
we really didn't. And then Wolves at full time 0.41, Man City 3.37. So it's pretty much there to be seen. It's City. We just didn't do enough. But they're a good side, and they'll win the league at a canter. But yeah, I was disappointed at the way for that spell we had, we could have made something of it and made a game out of it, but it wasn't to be. And moving on to the Villa game, which was just 4 days later, Aston Villa 0, Wolves 0. It's been quite a common theme for me this season. I watched this game fairly intoxicated, purely just to get through it. And I remember sending Dave a video afterwards, and I was like, it's like I know that I'm going to need a few cans to get through this game. But Finn, what were your thoughts on the game? I was pretty pissed off with it, if I'm honest. It was, the first half, for me was terrible. But how did you see it, Finn? Were you made up with a 0-0 at Fortress Villa Park?
I was just so indifferent. I just didn't care because it felt like the players didn't care. I mean, Stacey's miss, the XG on that when we get to that, my God. But no, yeah, to be honest, I can't really remember much happening apart from that. I just remember Cody and Stacey being our most threatening players. And when that happens, it's not been a great game. But no, yeah, I'm going to pass over to you. What was the point you just made, Tom? I had a fantastic point about Villa and I forgot about it. What was the point? I cannot remember it, but I had an absolute gem there. It's completely gone from my head.
I think it was a really, really good opportunity to go to Villa Park and get 3 points with Grealish being out.
Playing the situation. That was the one. You play Grealish without Villa. Play Villa without Grealish.
I prefer to play Grealish without Villa.
yeah, that would be nice. But that's what I mean. Like, as in another case of you've got to go for a Grealishless Villa, just like everyone else has. Sheffield United beaten without Grealish. Once their sort of best form of defence is attacking, that, oh God, we've got to worry about Grealish, and then Watkins can play better and everyone can. It was just frustrating how we didn't show any ambition, especially in the first half.
Tom, would you echo that thought, or would you disagree?
I was panicking a second ago because I was desperately trying to remember anything from that game to mention because I just couldn't remember anything from it at all. But what I can remember is doing my video afterwards and I never tend to rant. And like I said last time, I do tend to sort of die down by the end of it. But that video, I was so annoyed at how negative we played. Just the whole game. like the first half again was so poor, so slow, and so respectful to Villa because they're slightly higher up in the table or because they've got some threatening players. But we were just we didn't create anything at all in that first half, and I don't even know what he changed at halftime other than shouting a little bit because from memory, I don't think there was any tactical change. It wasn't even as if the wingers swapped. I don't think. No substitutions, but we did look slightly better. But even still, the only chances that we created, as Finn said, were from free kicks from Cody and from Sace. And that one from Sace, I think is really bad luck. I think 9 times out of 10 that goes into the back of the net, or even more than that, 99 out of 100. He's just got far too good a connection on it. He's got it up and over. If he just gets a toe on it, or he just gets something on it, it goes in. But I don't know what he's trying to do. He's trying to leather it in from 10 centimeters out.
That chance though, do you know what the chance came from, lads? It was a short corner.
Short corner.
Now,
yeah.
I like short corners. I'm a fan of short corners. I think it creates a better angle and it moves players around. You can see a ball coming straight in. You might get it under the keeper and put pressure on him.
There's a time and a place.
Tactics are more from the continent rather than Bilston. But yeah, he came from a short corner and a very well worked short corner. And I think they'd worked on that, just moving to the back stick because they must see that Villa are susceptible to having balls looped over to the back stick and not having much protection. But like you said, he's almost got too much of a good connection on it. But apart from that, I think the tactics were you've got just give the ball to Neto and see what he can do. And it's been the same throughout the season. It's shit, isn't it?
He's been really quiet as well since that Southampton goal, which was over a month ago now. I don't think he's scored since. I don't think he's provided an assist since. I might be wrong with that, but he
goal of Newcastle.
Oh, was that him? Okay, right, fair enough. But he has had a really quiet few games because I don't know whether it's because of all the talk about him and it's gone to his head a little bit, like happened to Gibbs White a few years ago, or whether he just can't deal with the expectation of him, whether it is that Nuno's saying, right, just pass it to Neto, he'll do everything for us, and you just try and get in the box. But you can't do that to somebody who's just turned 21. I think he's got to have some support from the others around him. Neves is doing that. I think Neves has really stepped up the last few weeks and has played really. Yesterday, I thought he was exceptional. Moutinho did it last night, but I don't think he did it against Villa at all. I think he had another poor game. So it's just looking for this players in the team who can do things. Traore, another one. I think he had a fairly anonymous game against Villa. I can't remember too many good things that he did. So they've got to step up, these other players, and take the pressure off Neto.
That was one of the most frustrating things, wasn't it, with Target and El Mohammadi? And you thought Neto and Traore, surely there's only one winner on both sides there. And there wasn't really any moment where they even beat them once.
Do you think that lack of positivity is personnel or system? Do you think it's a bit of both? Do you think it's just the players just not being up to it on the day, or do you think it's being set up to play within yourself and not to lose? I know what I think it is, but
I don't know. I can't imagine that the plan is go and play so badly in the first half that we look okay in the second. I don't think that Nuno's plan is. Surely it can't be. Keep it safe, keep it boring for an hour, and let's try and nick a goal. Surely against teams who are low on confidence. I would like to hope that that's not the case, but I think that's behind closed doors. I think that's probably what they're saying. Let's just try and keep it. Because he always talks about Disney zeros and ones in the defence, because you can win if you score. You're not going to lose games or lose too many games if you're only conceding 1 goal per game. But I don't know.
Did you see? I think the Fancast put a tweet out because they did an interview with Harry Burgoyne a couple of years back, I think, and Harry Burgoyne said on the interview that Nuno doesn't like to change the way we approach a game until the other team start making subs, because then it's their 11's been weakened, and I could not believe that.
Well, and teams don't always.
I was like, surely that's not right. But why would Harry Burgoyne say that? And if that is the case, then for me that is extremely concerning for a team that was in a Europa League semi-final, quarter-final last year. Like, surely that isn't the case. That he waits until teams make a sub and then goes at them because they're weaker. Finn, what do you think of that?
I also saw that he said. Sorry, go on. Do you want to take it, Tom? Or do you want?
Come.
Thanks, mate. He also said about the philosophy in the Championship, going on that same point, was like, when we've got the ball, we're tiring them out, and then they'll bring on subs and get weaker. And we haven't seen that I mean, it was easy to do it in the Championship, but all of that just, it's unfamiliar. Maybe the subs thing. Imagine if like Grealish was on the bench, and it was like, all right, they're weaker now, let's go at them now. But no, it doesn't make sense. You can't give yourself 15, because subs realistically is past the 60-minute mark. If it's Kenny Jackett, it's bang on the 60-minute mark. And that's half an hour to win a game, and you're just praying that it's not right, is it? It's not how you win a football match. I don't know how we managed to do it if that is the philosophy.
Tom, were you about to make a point on that?
I was going to say that pretty much the same. Like, teams often get stronger with substitutes because there might be a better player on the bench that they're saving for another game, and they bring them on for half an hour, or players who are coming back from injuries who are really good. Just give them a little bit of time to get into the game. It's a really, really naive strategy. Surely to God, they're not doing that.
I'd hope not. It may explain the negative football that we've been playing and playing within ourselves, but for me, that if that is the case, it's not acceptable. But yeah, that was a Villa game again. Very, very disappointing one. There's a real opportunity for theirs was to go and make a statement, give something back to the fans as well, because we've lost to Villa this season, we've lost to the Albion. Just give us something to be a bit more positive about, because apart from Neto having a good season, there's been absolutely nothing to be positive about, has there? But it's been a shithole season. And then we have Liverpool come to town last night. We're recording this on a Tuesday, and I was not feeling confident about this game. And I was with Robbie Lyle from AFTV, as I'm sure you've seen.
Oh, hang on, sorry, Matt.
Just pick
there, the name. Yeah, let me just pick that name up for you there. Sorry.
I was with Robbie Lyle. Yeah, and I was saying, I know exactly how this game's going to go. We're going to shut the shop for 65, 70 minutes and try and nick one late on. Completely the opposite. I thought we started the game as the way that I want Wolves to play, on the front foot, taking it to teams. I know we lost the game in the end, but were you expecting us to shut the shop for 60 minutes like I was, Tom, or were we expecting what we saw?
I didn't know what to expect. I thought we would get battered, but then I thought, well, Nuno's shocked us in some games in the past where he's gone for it and we didn't think that he would, and it's come off, or we've been battered because of it. I think the Liverpool away game, I think he tried to play a bit more expansive, and we got really shown how to play football in that game. So I was a little bit surprised that he sort of went the same kind of way for this game, but it worked, and I think we were quite unlucky to lose the game. I think on balance, I think we had equally good chances. I know that Liverpool any second could break away and score, and they did, sadly for Diogo, who used to score at the South Bank, but everybody sort of had that bet anyway.
It's about time we put one away there, isn't it? Fucking hell.
I know. But again, I was going to tweet it, but then I thought I'd probably look stupid if I did. But apart from that goal, I don't remember him being particularly threatening at all. I think we managed him really, really well. There's some really tough challenges on him. Sace liked, I think he quite enjoyed flattening him in the second half.
That should have been earlier, though. That he should have just gone through in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. And Neves, I think, had the better of him as well. I think he had, and Moutinho turned him, didn't he, at one point as well, which was quite nice to see. But again, the argument will come up about should we have let Jota go? Yes, we should have, because in our team, he was not working. Same as Doherty. I watched the London derby the other day. He was awful, atrocious. How we got £15 million for him? Jeff Shee is an absolute genius. But I can't remember what the question was. But I think...
Were you happy with the approach?
Yeah, I think yes, I was. And it showed that we can do it, and we can start a game in that positive fashion, and we can play for pretty much 90 minutes. There were spells where Liverpool controlled the ball, but then we sort of reset and we did our sort of control the game. For me, although we lost, it was a pretty good template for how we should go for the rest of the season. Throw caution to the wind, have chances. On another day, with a better referee, we get a penalty in the first couple of minutes, and it's a completely different game. I don't want to mention the refereeing performance too much, but it was atrocious. It was awful.
Yeah, well, we'll move on to the penalty and the red card and just the general absolute shit show from Craig Pawson. For me, it's It's a red card. It's a penalty. It's clear as day. He's dropped it, and I think the only thing that saves Alisson is the fact that when the ball drops for Semedo, it doesn't drop right in front of him. It falls away from him a little bit. I think if it drops at his feet, it's a stone wall. But I think Alisson's very lucky at the fact that Semedo hasn't controlled it very well. But did you think it was a penalty, Finn? Did you think that the Thiago tackle was a red card? And do you think that Craig Pawson's inept at his job?
What do you have against Willy Bolly as well? By the way, how many?
I know.
How many decisions? But yeah, let's. I'll try and be calm about it. I think following on from that last point about setting up, I think that it made sense in every sense of the word that the Liverpool's weakest area at the moment is the defence, isn't it? So to put pressure on Alisson, Kabak, Phillips, Robertson's been having a bad season as well, and we bared fruit from that obviously with this penalty, and Alisson looked particularly shaky. And the amount of things I've seen on it today have just made me more and more angry. For example, if you watch back the clip, Alisson falls to the floor after taking Semedo out and whacks the ground, as in, I've given away a penalty. And you see, and then you also watch, he has his whistle to his mouth and then goes, oh, no. And then they don't check it. Just everything about it is more and more annoying. Then I saw Dermot Gallagher on Sky. They're going, oh, no, Semedo handballed in the build-up. That's why it wasn't given. And then they were laughing about it because David James was on. And it was like, oh, so why was he handling it? Oh, because Alisson had just thrown himself on it. It's like, honestly, everything I've seen about it, and it doesn't get the hoo-ha that if it was against it, for example, if it was the other end and wasn't given, which I'm sure it would have been. But it's like, oh, yeah, Wolves' decision. There it goes. If that refereeing performance was against a Man United, a Man City, it'd be all over the news. Like the Bolly handball when it hits his thigh, studs down challenge, wins on it. Oh, Tom, save me.
I think it's a bigger problem than just Craig Pawson. We've seen Lee Mason. Nuno got fined for that, but then that complete horror show that he had against the Albion with the Brighton game was terrible. They're just completely inept at their jobs. The fact that there were no Premier League referees in the World Cup in 2018 should have been emergency. We need to improve our referees. How can we have the best league in the world yet have no English referees representing, our league in the Premier tournament of world football? We've gone from having Howard Webb, like him or loathe him, he refereed the World Cup final. It's only ever been done by two Englishmen, so that's the highest accolade you can have. So why then has that not been? Why have we not improved from that point? How have we let him retire? Clattenburg, again, like him or loathe him, European Championship final and Champions League final in 2016.
Tattoos to prove it as well, bless him.
Yeah, excellent referee. They must be. The only one who I think at the moment could hold his head high, but equally makes mistakes is Michael Oliver. I think he's probably the best of a bad bunch.
Yeah.
But it comes down to the communication between the referees. They love the power of being in control of these multi-millionaires. Yeah, and they don't, like Mourinho said after the North London derby, are you going to speak to the referees after the game? No. So they don't even have to justify their decisions. They've made so many clear and obvious mistakes. VAR was supposed to eradicate all this. It hasn't. It's made it worse. It amplified them tenfold. I think I said last time this. Had they have had fans in the stadium for the last 12 months, somebody would have been killed because we saw how bad it was getting. Remember that Leicester game? That Leicester game happened just before lockdown. It was I think it was Valentine's Day even. When that goal was disallowed, I can't remember who scored it, but it was Neto's heel that was offside running backwards. That the atmosphere in the ground at halftime, and it went on during halftime, the booing and stuff was toxic. If that had been allowed to have carried on, something would have happened at the end of last season that somebody would have got relegated because of VAR. It's going to cause huge problems. They've had 12 months to sort it out behind closed doors. They've not done it. It's worse now than it was when we left them to it 12 months ago.
I don't think the issue is VAR. All the errors, all the errors,
human errors still
aren't machine errors. They're human error, and which comes from the fundamental issue is the standard of officiating in England and I don't know about Scotland or Wales, but in England, in the Premier League especially, is absolutely dire. It's shocking. And if you and I can say that's a penalty, if everyone else, every Wolves fan, every Liverpool fan can say that's a penalty, then what why isn't it giving us a penalty? And I'll tell you why it isn't giving us a penalty. And that is purely to protect the on-field decision. They've classed it as it not being clear and obvious, and they've protected what is the wrong decision on-field because they don't want the referees to get so much stick. And we've seen it in recent weeks where the referees told Harry Maguire, saying if I give that, there's going to be too much backlash. You paid a lot of money to make right calls, and I get that you don't want the backlash, but these decisions could cost clubs millions and millions of pounds and could cost me to have permanent heart damage. So
I don't know if they are paid enough though. I know they are paid. Compared to the average Joe, they get paid like 80 to 90 grand, maybe 100 grand a year, which is enormous amounts of money. However, they're refereeing players who are worth that per week or per half a week. So you need to invest in the education of referees. You need to have former players being trained to be referees, but why they would do that when they know how they're treated by the players. Yeah. There needs to be a change in sort of very much like rugby in that you can't speak to a ref. If the referee, like Nigel Owens, who's the Welsh referee, he's openly gay. Everybody knows it. And he's really, really famous referee. He's just retired. He will call he's a short little bloke, call these huge lumps towards him, and he'll tell them off, and they won't say a word to him because they know if he does, they're off. There's no respect in football towards referees, partly because they are inept at their job and they don't do the things right. But then it's got to be, there's various rules brought in about 10 years ago that you couldn't speak to a referee, and if you did, it would be booked. Where have they gone? Because everybody's forever going up to the referees, and I don't think it's got any better in that time. But we need to hear their conversations as well. I think if you turn their microphones on to broadcast, I'd much rather listen to the referee than to Martin Tyler, by the way, as well. But I think there's a lot more that we can learn from other sports. Football sort of has the blinkers on, thinks that it's great, thinks that it's the working man sport and that everybody loves it. But there's a lot wrong with it. It needs to be sorted out quickly before people start taking their money out of it.
Yeah.
And murdering people in the ground.
Exactly.
I remember that Leicester game. Someone put a telly through in the South Bank, didn't they? I mean, it's obviously not behaviour we condone, but it does drive people to that kind of idiotic behaviour. I suppose so does probably alcohol and other substances. But moving away from the refereeing decisions, Finn, looking at that game where we had some very, very good chances, and we, again, as we said at the start of the pod, just not clinical enough, are we?
No, especially my one to watch Semedo on FIFA that goes up if he basically just has to score a goal and I'm in the money. And the amount of times he cuts back onto his left and you just don't expect him to score. I remember the Neves one from a very similar area on the pitch. We just not clinical. I think we out XG'd Liverpool, didn't we, last night? And ironically then our most unclinical player last season gets the goal and theirs was like less than one. But no, you just don't feel like, I think it was 14 goals from open play all season, they said on commentary. Like, what is that? That can't, it's not, yeah. And for people that say our set pieces are so bad, yet we've got quite a few from there. Imagine where we'd be without them. I know you can caveat it with Jimenez and Podence and creative players like that, but 14 goals, what is it? 30 something games? Is it 28, 29 games now? 14 goals. That's like half a goal a game outfit. There's the problem.
One from a striker from open play since Jimenez got injured.
Yeah. I'm sick of hearing about the Jimenez thing because when I speak to fans from other clubs, it's like it's been really difficult. You lost Jimenez, and of course it's a massive loss. And I think any club would struggle if they had such a talisman being taken out of the squad. But for me, the problems were there before Jimenez got injured. I remember before that Arsenal game, I still remember us being pretty shit.
There's a reason we went to 4, wasn't there? To create more chances.
Yeah.
Did that with Jimenez.
We'll come on to that in a bit, and as to how we set up moving into the last stage of the season. But going to the Jota goal, it's a Patricio error for me. I don't know how you feel about it, Tom. I feel like he hasn't got down quick enough, and it should be one he's saving. We'll come on to the injury in a bit, but for me, it's a goalkeeping error. It's an avoidable goal, and if we don't concede that, it's a very good chance that we may go on to win the game.
Yeah, but I mean, you can say that, and and I don't know about another goalkeeping error. I don't think he's made too many this season. I think he's had a really good season this year. Yeah, he did
2 or 3 errors that have led to goals. But as a keeper, if you make an error, more than often,
obviously, of course, yeah. But I mean, think of the defense he's got in front of him as well, and how many more saves he's making this year than he was last year. I think he's had. I think he's up there for our player of the season behind Neto at the minute. I think he's had a really exceptional season, and he did moments before that save. I don't know if you can call it save, but he did enough to put Mane off when he'd taken it around him.
It was a good bit of goalkeeping. That was
really good, yeah. But again, it's really frustrating because I don't remember him making another save. There were a few that were straight at him, a few that he had to get down and smother quickly, but there was no real, fingertip saves that he had to make at all, which was a shame. It just happens whether he was unsighted for a second. I haven't watched the goal back again, but I don't think it took a deflection or anything. It was just one of those where I think he was probably expecting him to go across the goal and it caught him unawares going for the near post. And I think that's all it was. You could argue it was clever play by Jota, but we know him as a player. It was probably a mishit. He probably was aiming for the other side of the goal.
No, he's a FIFA player, mate. He knows near post OP. But no, I think, like Matt said about Patricio's errors, they've all sort of been hard and low. I remember like the Eze one at Crystal Palace. It's not glaring errors, but it's like, you probably should be getting there. I don't know how old is he now? 34, 30, like maybe just getting down. I mean, top corners, you always back him, don't you? His reflexes are ridiculous. But
he's 34, fucking 64. He's 33, he's only just gone 33 as well. There's no excuse.
Oh, yeah. Get
no
down,
excuse. Mate. Maybe if he was 35, maybe. But yeah, perhaps it was a little bit harsh to say another goalkeeping error. But I can remember 2 or 3 this season where
it's hard on
yeah, but then again, like you said, he's also made up for it, and he's a bit of a thankless task playing in goal for us with our back 4 or 5 constantly changing, constantly being pulled in and out of position. But we'll quickly brush on the injury. Hopefully, I mean, there's not been much news that's come out apart from Nuno saying he's okay. It looks to be that it's just potentially a bad concussion. We all feared the worst, didn't we, when we saw another head injury? We're thinking, bloody hell, like not 2 in one season, but fingers crossed. It looks okay, and I mean, we don't know if he probably won't be playing. He's probably in a very good position that we've got an international break now. He may stay back and not go because he has been called up, and hopefully he can play in the next game, which is against West Ham United. But yeah, it was a difficult watch, and you could see the pain etched on Cody's face, couldn't you, Tom? Because he felt really bad that he'd clattered him.
Yeah, I didn't feel the same as the Jimenez injury, just because there were a couple of little signs that you thought it can't be that bad, because they know, like Jimenez was waving from the stand at one point. You think, well, it surely can't be that bad if he's like really, or there was, I think Johnny and some Moutinho perhaps were laughing at the halfway line. Cody looked. You would, whatever damage you'd done to your own player, you'd feel pretty gutted by it. Yeah. But I think there were a couple of signs. He was conscious throughout. He was sort of talking. He had his arms splayed like that on the floor, but he was talking away. So I didn't feel as nervous as I did when Jimenez went down. But so I don't know. I thought maybe it was his jaw, or his neck, or something like that. But hopefully it's just a concussion. He'd be back pretty soon. But he'd be a big miss as well. I know that Ruddy, I'm pretty happy with him to come in for a couple of games, but you don't want him for 10 games for the rest of the season. It might start to be a bit of a problem there. But it'd be a good chance for Ruddy to say farewell as well, or it does seem as if he's going. So maybe running the team would be just reward for 4 years' service.
Maybe. And then, as you said, a lot for the rest of the season. I think that's what we'll go on to now. It's a nice little link there, Tom. So well done. Well done on that. And I'll start with you, Finn. What is the plan now for the rest of the season? Do you stick with the 5 at the back? Do you stick with the same personnel? Do you change stuff? Do you change the way we approach games? We've played 29 games. What's that left? 9 games left. That's correct, isn't it? Yeah, 38 games. So, Finn, if you're Nuno, what do you do for the next 9 games? Do you start Morgan Gibbs-White every single game with Vitinha? Do you play 4 at the back? Do you play 5? Tom's obviously disagreeing there. But what do you do if you're Nuno?
I think a mix of everything to sit on the fence, but you've got to sink or swim a few of the players, haven't you? I mean, we've hardly seen Vitinha, and I saw someone on Twitter screenshotted his sort of welcoming article, and it was he's going to be an integral part for the rest of the season going forward. as in going forward on the pitch, not the season. And you just haven't seen him. Nori, is he worth 20 million? I don't know. Probably, maybe not. But like you've got to give these guys a chance now when there's nothing really on the line. There's not too much pressure on them as young players. So hopefully Nuno said, go out there and impress me. He might go out there, sit behind the ball. What is it, the Neil Warnock thing? Enjoy it, but enjoy it by being disciplined. I
don't mean you do.
But no, you just want to see him, don't you? Hoover, Nori, Vitinha. There's a lot of exciting young players there. Give them a go. I mean, we still need 5 more points to be safe, obviously. Get that 40 points mark. But it should happen. Unless we lose to every single one of those sort of bottom 5 teams that we've got coming up, we're in no trouble. So just have fun. Let's have fun for the first time this season. Let's win 5-4 or lose 6-2. You know what I mean? Like, let's just do it.
No. 6-2 drubbing, that's what dreams are made of. What do you reckon, mate? 5 at the back, 4 at the back, play fringe players, give them a chance, shop window job.
I think we've got one more win and we're perfectly safe. I can't see Fulham or Newcastle getting to 38 points. We should
38 points. Fulham are currently on 26, so they're at 18th place.
I think they're one to watch, but they're not consistent enough, are they? They've only won 5 games all season. They draw quite a few games just looking at the table now. So I think we'll be okay anyway. So it's worth trying. I think I don't think it matters who we play for what game or formation. I think any sort of formation change consistently should be done in pre-season behind closed doors rather than let's just try these few things. I think stick with the 5 at the back. Play Vitinha instead of Moutinho, perhaps. Play. I'd even throw in like Longwijk and some of those players that we've seen from the under-23s on the bench. Give them the last 10 minutes of games. If we're winning, you know, we saw Will Norris and Max Kilman come on and do a job in that Fulham game 2 years ago.
Yeah. To be fair, I watched the under-23s the other day against Sunderland because I'm off work at the minute, and I was really impressed with Longwijk. I don't know if it's just because he's like a mirror image of Virgil van Dijk, or he looked a tidy little player. But would you? For me, I would. No, the personnel who are going to be here this season are probably going to be the same or thereabouts next season, apart from maybe 2 or 3 additions. I don't think there's going to be wholesale changes, although I think there should be. For me, I would just be saying, look into next season, saying, I know what players are going to be part of my plans next season. Let's just try and bed in and make sure our game plan and the way we play is watertight, so we're ready to go for next season. I don't think we're in a relegation battle by any stretch of the imagination. Like you said, 1 more point, 1 more win. I think Fulham will stop up. I think it could be anyone from Newcastle or Brighton to go down. Yeah. I mean, even Southampton are on a slippery slope, aren't they? But I think with our games coming up, just looking now, we've got West Ham, Fulham, Sheffield United, Burnley, West Brom. If we can't get...
You've got to win one of them.
If we can't win of those, then we deserve to go down.
Yeah.
So for me, it would just be looking ahead to next season and knowing what players are going to be there, what players are going to be part of the plans, and giving them the game time. Hopefully, solidify a bit of a game plan, because at the minute it screams to me that we just don't have a set game plan. But the next 3 fixtures, chaps: West Ham at home, 5th of April, Fulham away on the 9th of April, which is the both late kickoffs, and then Sheffield United at home on the 17th of April. 7 points from that, 6 points. West Ham are obviously in very good form, but you know I still think they're there to be beaten if we play Finn. How many points do you reckon Wolves will be getting from that, and how many would you be happy with?
I think I'd be happy with 6, which is really depressing to say if you'd have said that last season, those 3 games. But just that midfield for West Ham scares me. I mean, they're big, industrious. So I can't see much coming from that game. But with the other 2, 6 points would be nice. But for like Fulham away, it never gives you. Have we ever won there? Like ever? I think Cav and Costa did a job once. Well, I remember Sessegnon, was it 2 seasons ago? And then I don't know. I'm just not confident. 6 would be lovely. I'd say.
I remember Saka scoring from a corner in the Championship, and then Dicko missing a counter. I was there. I remember it was like a Monday night, but. Yeah, so 6 points, you reckon, Finn? You'd be happy with that?
I'll take that all day long.
Where do you reckon 2 wins going to come against Fulham and Sheffield United then?
You think so? Looking at Sheffield United the other night, you think if we don't get 3 points there, if there's any chance to get some open play goals, honestly, it's embarrassing.
We'll sit 10 men behind the ball and we'll manage to lose 1-0 against them. Don't worry.
90+1, David McGoldrick. But no, 6 will do.
Tom, how about yourself, mate? Next 3 fixtures.
I mean, I would like to be as positive as Finn, but I'm going to go for 4. I think we're going to lose against West Ham. I think we'll get a draw against Fulham, and I think we'll beat Sheffield United. I can't see us being positive in any of those games, just from what I know of Nuno and what I can expect. Yeah. But I would love it. I would love it if they just went
if we beat them
and thought, you know what, let's just play forward at the back. Let's go for it. Let's try and win 3 games. Let's try and score 3 goals in each of the games. But we won't. It'll be really boring, and we'll win one of those 3 games.
It's a good time to be a Wolves fan, isn't it? We're all obviously very extremely positive and jovial about the rest of the season, but potentially even looking at a late Europa League push. As someone asked us earlier, do you think Wolves can still qualify for Europe? I think statistically,
we can't. No, I don't think we. Even, I think well, I think we're going to have to win every single game and hope that obviously Everton. Who else is in there? Liverpool. Spurs don't win any games whatsoever. We're 10 points behind them with 10 to play. So you've got to win. You've got to get a point on them every single week. It's not going to happen.
It's not. So doom and gloom, aren't you, Tom? I remember when you're happy.
Realistic. Listen, I'm always real.
What?
I'm always real.
If you beat West Ham and Fulham, then people will be saying it again. Because then you've got, there's 6 points, and then it'll be whatever, Sheffield United, West Brom. And then people will be saying it again, but it's just like when you're in that position, you win, you look down, you win, you look up, you lose, you look down. And it's realistically, it's mid-table.
It is. Right, chaps, it's time for the questions. Again, we've got some extremely good footballing questions. Might be some other questions that aren't related to football, but they'll be at the latter end.
Skip the football ones.
So people can just skip to the last 5 minutes because that's when it starts to get really interesting. I'm just starting with Twitter first. Really good question, so thanks for sending them in. This is from C Senor, or his name's Simon, and it's Si Senor. Not sure. It's at Dodgy Wolf. Do we think Nuno has taken us as far as he can regarding league position, squad depth, and recruitment? And will Wolves fans be happy to finish mid-table every season as long as we become an established Premier League club? I'll start with you, Tom. Try and summarise that.
No, Nuno hasn't taken us as far as he can. I think he could get us to the Champions League, I think, with time and with backing, which I think he's going to get. I think he needs another 2 or 3 seasons to do, but I think it's possible. I think we've sort of, as fans, we've accelerated Wolves' progress in our heads, but I think that he's got his feet on the ground. I think maybe a bit of a shake-up with the coaching staff or something like that as well in the next couple of seasons might help. Just some new voices added to the mix might help. What was the second part of that question?
Regarding league position, squad depth, recruitment, and will Wolves fans be happy to finish mid-table every season as long as we're an established Premier League club?
Wolves fans won't be happy to finish mid-table, but we should be at the minute this season and maybe next season. I think we should be perfectly content with finishing 10th. But
you think we finish 10th this season?
Well, I mean, I'm being optimistic there, but we're going to finish no higher than 10th. Let's say that.
I will finish all right. I don't know where it'll be, but
so I don't know. It'll be. I think the benefit that Nuno has had this season is that fans have not been in the stadium. He's been able to have an off season, a fallow year, if you will, but he can't afford to have that again next year if there is fans all the time. But I think we will. I think we'll have a really sort of a couple of years of just consolidating, building a squad ready for a couple of years' time. All the transfers from the summer were all young players who will come good in a couple of years. The pressure will be on the season after next.
Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do when Jimenez comes back and we're still shit. Because that is like the scapegoat, isn't it? It's like break glass in emergency. If we're shit, it's like we're missing Jimenez. So if he comes back and he's rubbish, I don't know what we're going to do. Finn, try and summarise your answer with that. Do you think Nuno's taken as far as you can? And are you happy as a Wolves fan to finish mid-table every season for forever? Amen.
I don't think anyone is, are they? Really? No one's happy to finish mid-table every year. Like, you see it with teams where they don't know what they've got until it's gone. I'm not saying we're one of those teams, but where they'll sack Tony Pulis and then Stoke go down. But no, it just shows no one's happy with being there because it's just not exciting, and especially for us, mid-table, playing the football we are, it's the double whammy. Like, if you're, I don't know, Southampton, or maybe a bit more adventurous and finish mid-table, maybe there's a little bit more there for them. And being top of the league at one point, sell some shirts. But no, yeah, no one's going to be happy with it, and we will push again. And like you say, with buying young players now, the cost of getting into the top 4 by buying proven players, you see Man City, it's like 50 mil a fullback every time. Yeah. If you can buy one for 20 and pray that they turn into a 50 like Aït-Nouri, it's what clubs like us have got to do who don't have that power. So maybe it'll take patience, and it'll be really annoying if we turn into a selling club where it's you take in the 20s and sell them for the 50s. I want us to see it through and sort of let them make the mistakes with us to then have the goodness as well. It's just what we do in the next few years. But no, he hasn't taken us as far as we can go. I'm very confident in him. He's like a god to me. Like, what a man.
Fucking hell. Just moving over to the Instagram, we've had a question. Do I still want Nuno out? I think I've made I've nailed my colours to the mast in terms of what I think should happen, but not necessarily Nuno out. Next season, back 4 or back 5? That's a question from George Walker. Tom, back 4 or 5?
I'm going to quote Tim Spears from The Athletic. It should be a mix of both. We should be able to adapt during games to fit both systems.
Mm-hmm. Finn?
Yeah, in my head, it's almost like just swapping Cody and Podence. That's all that could change. As in, you have 2 centre-backs that will always play. Whether you have a number 10 and no Cody and no number 10, that's how it goes next season. And then it just, it doesn't make us predictable. And either of those, they'll suit different situations.
Question from Josh Ellis. Thoughts on why Nelson Semedo hasn't been called up for the Portugal squad, Finn? What are your thoughts on that? He's not been called up now.
I didn't know that.
To be fair, they have got the best fullback in the world in João Cancelo. So
and Pereira as well. Yeah, the embarrassment of Richie's.
I think Pereira's out injured as well. But he's had an all right season, but he's not exactly pulled trees as Pazzi Semedo. But are you surprised to see him excluded, Finn?
Yeah, I didn't even look at that. I just assumed he'd be there. Who's getting in above him at right back? I'm surprised to see that.
Suarez is gone.
What? Really? Oh wow! I know. I mean, I can play on both sides, but. Strange, very strange. But I mean, start of the season, I wasn't a big fan. I wanted Corona in, so I was really salty.
We had Corona. We've still got Corona in, mate.
Been in for a bit too long. Hey. But no, I'd have him in. I thought he played well yesterday. I think in the middle third of the pitch, there's no better wing back in the league, but it's just either end. He doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. His dribbling's fantastic.
The Portugal defence for their next 3 fixtures is Cedric Suarez, João Cancelo, Duarte, Jose Font, Pepe, Ruben Dias, Nuno Mendes, and Rafael Guerreiro. That Nuno Mendes is a lad from Sporting, isn't he? The fullback.
Yeah, legend.
A young lad. Which, if there was ever a perfect signing for us in terms of name and nationality and previous clubs, then he's absolutely perfect. But Tommy, are you surprised to see Semedo excluded from the Portugal squad?
I don't follow international football too closely, but I know that they've got Azerbaijan, Luxembourg, and they've got 3 quite weak opposition. So I think it could be a case of a little bit of rotation or giving somebody else a go. But I'm not too concerned, to be honest. In fact, I'm glad that and hopefully Rui doesn't go as well and give him a bit of a break for 2 or 3 weeks.
We've had just a couple more questions. We've had. I'm going to try and summarise these. One of Daniel Harjan, a few from Woody's weight loss journey. Hope you're losing weight. The 3 loan signings and Aït-Nouri, Jose, and Vitinha. What would you do with those, Tom? Would you sign any of them?
Well, I think we had the same question last time, didn't we? And I said, I don't know, it's still too early. And I mean, 2 weeks later or however long it's been, it still would be the same answer. I haven't seen any. I don't think they've played, have they? Or Aït-Nouri came on for a little bit.
Jose's been playing,
Jose. I think now that they've said that they're negotiating a lower deal. I think so long as it's no more than 12 million, I think it would be worth getting him in to the squad, boosting the squad a little bit, some numbers. That's what we need.
Yeah. What about you, Finn?
Yeah, with the other 2, there's no real evidence there, and hopefully we'll get that in the next 9 games. But with Jose, I thought he had a good game the other day, but no goals. Like, if 12 million, what am I worth? Because I've scored a goal for Wolves, everyone, and I've scored at Molineux. He hasn't. So that's 20 on me at least. But no, as a backup, I think he fits the mould. But with him, I think with crossing, he just doesn't move to the ball. It's got to be on his head. Whereas when you see Silva come out, it's really frustrating. But all round, if you get him 10 mil, maybe. But I want to see the other two show what they can do in the next 9 games. And then I think in the next podcast, we'll have a better grip on that.
I bet we won't.
So I'll be asking the same question. Final question about the football before we move into the important stuff from Callum Williams. Dream first game back at Molineux with full Molineux. Day to kick off time, team. Tom?
Pre-season friendly against
Rails Zaragoza.
Burton Albion.
Okay.
No, so somebody really rubbish. Give them a bit of a boost. Give them a nice day out. A little local team like Burton or Walsall. Saturday, 3:00. Do you remember them? Do you remember those days?
Yeah.
And bright sunshine the week before the season starts. Lovely.
So the Brews at home on Saturday afternoon at 3:00 in a pre-season friendly. That's what dreams are made of. Tom's good shout. What about you, Finn?
I think everyone's dream is to do a staged 10,000 comeback where everyone's going to argue about tickets and it's ridiculous and a waste of time, really, at the end of the season. So I'm glad they're doing that. But maybe let's go abroad. When are we going to get to do it? So Club America, and then we play, I don't know, who's like a Southern American, do a little tour of the USA. I think that was planned, wasn't it, to do Orlando and then Club America. So let's take it worldwide and take their young prospect, whoever they've got.
It did say a full Molineux, but don't matter. Go on, Tom.
Molineux in South America. I've got a question for Finn.
You've got a question for Finn?
Yeah. When will you be dyeing your hair? What's the platinum? Is that the colour that Raul's gone for? When
the Aguero colour.
Yeah.
I did see it. I thought about that to say, like, if he's back by the West Brom game, if he scores, I'll do it. I need it cut first, flipping out. But I'm looking at it. I don't know whether the guy in what's his name, Jamie in Tettenhall did it, because I said, can you just do the exact same thing to me if he scores? But look out, I'll see if I can do it. The return of vlog about to say if he scores in his first game.
Oh yeah, I dyed that colour in the summer, mate, and it's really hard to get the colour. So you got your work cut out.
Really?
Yeah. I'm being serious. Tom can't believe it, but yeah, I tried to dye mine that colour. When you get like a quarter life crisis and you think, I just need to change. It's either a tattoo or I'm dyeing my hair, and I opted for the less permanent. And I looked all right, to be fair. Well, my mum said I did anyway, and that's all that matters.
At least we know that his skull is okay now that he's dyeing his hair.
It looks better with the scar, doesn't it? It looks better, hides it better. I think that might be.
I think he's trying to hide it. Yeah.
Okay, we've got.
And if he's wearing some sort of guard, by the way, sorry, but if he wear like that, could become iconic. Like, I want to sign one of them immediately.
Yeah, his hair looks unbelievable.
With his Sin Cara little logo, Randy.
Finn, do you reckon? And we're getting into the important stuff now. Do you reckon you've ever had the same milk from the same cow twice? The same milk from the same cow twice.
So again, I think I laughed. My headphones are good.
Do you think you've ever had the milk from the same cow twice? As in, like, different bottles, not obviously from the same bottle.
Yeah, not from. Has my Weetabix been tricked? That's the only real time I have milk. So me, maybe not, because I'm not a big milk guy, apart from a Weetabix maybe once a week. But you'd think so if they keep it local. I'd like to think so. My naive brain that thinks I've seen the same pigeons all the time as well. Yeah, why not?
What about you, Tom? I know you're not really into your dairy products. You're more into your oat milk and stuff like that. You're pretty much a vegan. But when you were back drinking normal milk.
Yeah, I think yes. I think you would have done, because they come from the same kind of farm. So you'd have had, I don't know, 10, 12 cows on each farm. So if you're buying the same brand of milk every week, you're bound to get, within a year, you're drinking from the same daisy.
That's, you know what, even with the pigeon question, it's just, he's so measured in the way he says, and he just makes it sound incredibly convincing. So you know what, that was amazing. Tom, thanks for that, mate. Thanks for that.
Nuno, if you're watching, I can do press conferences for you.
Finn, why are they called apartments if they're all together?
Wow. Is someone just Google, like, is there some sort of website that I need to...
I don't know, but it's for some reason they just land in my inbox.
Apart, is it, I don't know, does it come from some sort of Latin thing? That's the only thing going through my...
Can I just elaborate on this? I'm sure you've got the answer.
So it actually comes from Italy. So you're not far wrong, but it's an Italian root word. And actually, so it's not a part, it's a part. So a piece or a part of a whole. So there you go, Susie Dent for you.
He's on fire. He's absolutely on fire. I think the last question is probably a question more so for me than you two, especially now you don't eat meat, Tom. And you can only eat. It's a question from Matty Moore. You can only eat orange chips or mixed grills for the rest of your life. Which one? For me, it's mixed grill purely because of the variation of just. I mean, orange chips are fantastic, but they are just chips. Whereas mixed grill is a selection of finely selected meats. Finn, what about yourself, mate? What would you rather eat for the rest of your life, one or the other?
I'm all over it, yeah. And seeing what you put out, they look delicious. I'm not one for a mixed grill all the time, but yeah, they look much better. Heavy stuff. Oh, it looks lovely. Yeah,
is it worth me asking you, mate? It's got chips, isn't it?
In my meat eating days, I still would have gone for chips though. Okay, you can't beat Tasty Place in Sedgley. Big shout out if you work there or own it. You can give me some chips.
Yeah, the Talking Wolf podcast sponsored by Tasty Place in Sedgley. He's got a ring to it. We're all for a bit of money in the kitter. Oh, I think that's enough for today, chaps. I think we've exhausted all football talk and all shit banter for today. Thanks for joining us, Tom. If people wish to find you, where can they find you?
I mean, if you really must find me, it's the Old Golden Black on YouTube, and that's it.
Is that it? No Twitter, no Instagram?
Nah, nobody's interested in that sort of rubbish.
No, fair enough. Finn, where can people find you should they wish?
Yeah, you can't even find me on YouTube at the moment, even if you wanted to. But no, FINERRZ. I've just realised you lot have got I need to put my name thing there as Finn is for people watching on video. I'm not plugging myself enough, but yeah, just Twitter, Instagram. I think I'm actually going to put an Instagram story on in a few days. I found something really cool, and it's a big moment for me. So be there.
Stay tuned for that. So where was that? Sorry, mate. If find you.
FINERRZ. Finn is on everything.
Wicked. And I am M. Cooper Wrights. Wrights is in written across the usual Twitter and Instagram. And of course, most importantly, Talking Wolves at Talking Wolves across Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you are new here, make sure you like and subscribe. If you aren't new here, make sure you still like and subscribe. And until next time, thanks for listening and take care.